This game was played at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana on March the 29th, 2025, between and it was the 4A IHSAA state championship game. Yes, this full state championship. 3A is a three-quarters championship, 2A is a half championship, and 1A is a one-quarters championship, although, most of those teams couldn't compete against anybody. And it's the reason that is, and that's my opinion, is because of schools like the great 30-0 Fishers Tigers in this game against the Jeffersonville Red Devils, 23-5. Fishers, all that money can buy. 43 games in a row they've won. They got the money. They got the entitlement. They are the school that everybody loves to hate. They're not quite Carmel, but they like to think they were. I had this season is the 24-25 season. I had a lot of fun going to games from the Orange Pit to the hangar to the field houses of Newcastle, Gainbridge, and Southport. The Crime, Case Arena in Frankfort. The Mill, Shelton Gym, to the best place in the world ever to watch a basketball game, the Muncie Fieldhouse. 32 different places or gyms and 77 different schools play 93 games. 5 overtimes, 3 during the season and 1 at the final game of the sectional in Muncie. 2 overtimes in that game and 1 overtime for the game that we're about to watch. Spoiler alert, State of Lynn. These 2 schools put it all on the floor. They went for 32 minutes plus 4. And at the end of the day, it's hard for me to say this, but the good guys won. This isn't one of those stories where the rich entitled kid spent a little extra money and got another recruit, and the good guys won. The bad guys lost. And I hope that happens a lot for Fishers. This is not the way they got this team together, and the things that have went on around it. I don't like their operation there. This guy was a cheating fool at Warren Central, and he probably still is cheating fool at Fishers. The two schools went head to head, and they, Fishers had the 5th longest winning streak in the history of high school basketball in Indiana. That's saying something. But they still lost. They still lost. There was 2 things that this team did really well. One was they liked to rip the ball up the floor and catch a defense of sleeping. And the other thing was they like to be rough on put both hands on you on offense, when you're on offense and they're on defense. And they love to do those little pushes that would get people off balance. The way this guy skirts the rules, it just makes me. I don't like the way this guy coaches. Period. He's a. He takes every rule and pushes it to the edge. And the problem is during the season, a lot of these schools, they hire referees that are just not in the shape to run those play those, get up and down the floor and see all this stuff. and they get away with stuff. And he loved to rub it in. Harrison came in. They just gave up at Frankfurt in the I think it was a regional. Yeah, it was a regional. And when they gave up, he left the starters in, and he ran up the score. All good things come to those who wait. Well, we waited till the very end, and they got theirs. I think if he had been a little more humble, and he'd have taught his kids to be a little bit more humble, that they might be sitting here as state champions, because that's about the difference. The humble team won, and that's a team that Sherron Wilkerson, probably one of the most notorious guys ever, quit an all-star team as Mr. Basketball, and he made a comeback. Well, I saw him coach at Logansport, and that was the god-awfulest team I've ever seen in my life. And they played Muncie Central. I was telling someone about this. I don't think either one team won, or combined they didn't win 5 games that year. And that was the most dreadful 32 minutes of basketball. It was like watching first graders play. Turnover after turnover after turnover. And just nobody was in direction. And I was like, this guy's never going to be able to coach. But something happened last year. Because he had that kind of little bit of that still in the regional last year when they got beat, or the semi-state, I guess it was. They didn't have the. He wanted to push the ball a lot, and the team, he didn't have the athletes for it. Against the teams that they were playing. Like I think it was Ben Davis last year. But he figured out what their strengths were and what their weaknesses were. And when Trey Singleton came back at Christmas, I was at the very first game they played, and he played at and I was not impressed at all. I didn't see what kind of. I was like, why in the world would anybody recruit this guy? He just wasn't that good. And the difference between then and now. Last week at Newcastle, he was excellent in both games, and then this week in the state championship game, he showed what he really had. At the end of the first quarter, the score was 8-11. Fishers was ahead, and then we started charting into And at that point, it looked like that Fishers was going. At the end of that quarter, it looked like Fishers was going to pull ahead, and Trey took over, and he came up with something special. I mean, the 30-24 lead at halftime was a place where Fishers had not been all season, which is a problem. Because a team that's down like that at halftime, what happens when they come back? They're either going to do one of two things. They're either going to just collapse, or they're going to run at you, and that's exactly what they did. They came out and they were hot, but Jeffersonville didn't back down, and they stayed with them. And once they had stayed with them through that third quarter, this was a 30-24 game at halftime. Then at the end of the 3, it was 45-42. Fishers had not been, I don't believe, had been down in the third quarter ever all season, and certainly not by 3. They probably never had many teams get a lead over 6 points in the whole season. And in the third quarter, Jeffersonville was up 9 at one point. So. That's where the coaching comes in. He's got to keep them motivated. He was able to do that to some extent. And they were a little self-motivated too. But the Fishers was they were a little more reliant on guards more than than normal. The inside play was just not there in that fourth quarter as much as it has been in the past, and the guards were having to do a little more, and those two guys were getting tired. Not only that, but they did the one thing that you got to do to Jason Garner, and this is his weakness. I've seen him have this problem before in other games, is that once he got beat around a couple times, he didn't want to play anymore. He kind of goes over and looks at his wounds and gets mad and sits on the sidelines for a little bit. They take him out, and then he comes back and then he's fine. Well, they just didn't have that kind of time that night, and that got him in trouble. There was a little place there where I think they took him out for a few minutes, it probably was a few seconds in reality, or he just wouldn't disappear. I don't know. I'll have to go look through the tape again, but it looked like that he wasn't around, and that got him to the point where then he made at the end he made another run and got a couple nice shots and kept them in the game. At the end of the regulation, it was 66-66. That said, then we get into the overtime, and the overtime was back and forth. Fishers would get a basket, Jeffersonville would get a basket, and then there was a couple 3-point plays, but there was only 7 points by Jeffersonville, and 6 points by Fishers in the whole quarter, or the whole overtime. And that's where I'm going to let the narration go to for this, and I'll let you hear the rest of this one.
Gotta go to the basket. Yes.
Out of 42.
That's on their third.
Justin Kirby and Logan Sigler returning for Fisher. Returning for Jeffersonville. Number 4, Rajon Blair.
Yes, that's what you need to do. Get him involved.
Number 22, Johnny.
Fouling.
God is good. God is good. This is amazing. This is amazing. You won this state championship as a player 32 years ago. It's been 30 years since Jeffersonville got back here. What does it mean to you and this community to come back here and win a state championship?
First, let me say this. Thank Michael Brock. Michael Brock, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
He's right over there, Coach. He was calling the game tonight.
Started with him. That's where it started. I was very fortunate enough to be in a position to take over the program and get us back to this spot. My staff, community, my administration. So many, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, right? We got so many guardian angels, community members, just wonderful. Thank you, guys.
That was an incredible team that you just knocked off tonight. I mean, what Fishers did over the course of 2 seasons was remarkable. How did you do it?
First, let me say this. I think that it speaks about Coach Winter here and the staff. Those guys do a wonderful job. They've represented the state of Indiana at a very high level, and we thank them. For us, we had an opportunity coming in 3 years ago, the sophomore class that was very special. I challenged them on a day-to-day basis to increase our toughness, and here we go.
Trey Singleton, how special was he tonight?
I think the state got to see tonight how good Trey Singleton really is. Trey's special. He's done everything that we've asked him to do, plus more. More specifically, he's a high character young man, and extremely well. He does extremely well in the classroom. So he's unbelievable in every regard.
Congratulations, Coach. Congratulations, Jeffersonville, state champions.
Presentation of the 2025 Arthur L. Chester Mental Attitude Award for Class 4A Basketball. In addition to the award, the Indiana Pacers and Indiana Fever, presenting sponsors of the IHSAA Boys Basketball State Tournament, will award a $1,000 scholarship to the winner's school. On behalf of the IHSAA, please join us in saying thank you to the Indiana Pacers and Indiana Fever for their generous support of student athletes at high school basketball in Indiana. The recipient of this award was selected by the IHSAA Executive Committee. This student was nominated by his athletic director, principal, and coach, and excelled in mental attitude, athletic ability, scholarship, and leadership. The winner of the 2025 Arthur L. Chester Mental Attitude Award for Class 4A Basketball is Sean Boyd of Jeffersonville.